All right, for segment 1 today, we are going to continue talking about Castles and Crusades, 8th printing. If I can get through it, my voice is already dry and, like 45 hours of streaming in the last day.
Well, then I'll do the heavy lifting on this one.
There are a few things I do want to bring up that I want to point out, specifically when it talks there are a couple paragraphs in here that talk specifically about the Illusionist, because I know you have some heartburn about the Illusionist.
I do.
And with that in mind, remember, RPG Digest is a live stream podcast discussion, not a concise step-by-step tutorial. We will deviate and go on tangents. You can check out our Discord, our locals, and our Redbubble. And while I didn't put the big Legion Myth logo on there that Heathen Dog was talking about a moment ago on the live stream, there are a couple of items down there. Got about 30 items on our Redbubble store. There's an example of 5 of them right there that you see on the screen, with Heathen Dog's shirt being on there, his favorite, his quote. It will be on his tombstone: "Players are the natural enemy of a good story. Player agency not allowed." I disavow that shirt. That's purely Heathen Dog.
Yep, 100% me.
All right. You can follow our website. You can follow us on Odyssey, YouTube, Twitch, and if you want to donate, PayPal and Streamlabs is by far the best one because they don't take a huge cut and you actually get the best bang for your buck. And what can you get for that bang for a buck? Oh, look at this. We have a 3,000 subscriber giveaway. When we hit 3,000 subs, we're going to give away those 5 books and possibly some gift cards. U.S. residents and APO, FPO addresses only. The gift cards will be for everybody, but the hardcover books, sorry. The international shipping wouldn't make it worth it for anybody. Because I would definitely do that COD or you're paying the delivery charges.
Which is, probably going to be more than the book.
Yeah. In our experience, that's about what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get this up on the screen. Share. Have you tested
page 109?
Yeah, already there. Did you see the slides thing in StreamYards? Have you tried that out yet? Since I know you love slides so much.
No.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to talk about magic. Yeah, there's actually a bunch on this first page I would like to talk about. So if you want to go through the little definitions here, if you want to just kind of breeze through that.
Go ahead. Can you embiggen it one time?
I can. And but I would like to cover the nature and magic side of it.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. I'm there. Embiggen twice.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Because I don't follow orders.
All right. Magic. Magic lies at the heart of fantasy, and so it does in Castles and Crusades. Of greatest importance for the players is the acquisition of magic spells and the explanation of how spells are used in the game. The following is a list and brief description of terms regarding magic in Castles and Crusades in which the players and castle keepers should be familiar. Okay, listen up, people. This is what you need to know. Arcane magic. Magic learned by wizards and illusionists.
Wow.
Divine magic.
And those other ones.
And those other asshats. Divine magic. Magic granted to clerics and druids by a deity or a spaghetti monster in the sky or an elemental force or nature in general.
What would the spaghetti monster have for spells?
Yeah. The type of magic mastered by illusionists. Sorry. Illusion magic is a type of arcane magic, but it is inherently different from a wizard's magic because it
affects mind's perception, deceives
senses, or creates arcane energies. That last part is my problem. Part is stop it.
I agree. No, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's my problem. Components.
The
aspects, elements, and ingredients involved in casting a spell, including verbal, somatic, and material. Anyone who's played many versions of D&D would know that. Focus, a specific object of power, and divine focus, a specific object of religious significance, is sometimes required to cast spells, especially divine magic. It will call upon a divine focus, usually a holy symbol or something like that. Spell. The formula a character uses to harness magic and give it form, and casting which results in a specific magical effect. Okay.
I got a question for you about this. I see this in a lot of books.
What's that?
When they're defining terms and so forth.
Sure.
This has always been one that kind of bothers me. Not just spell, but sometimes I think it goes. They define too many terms.
I don't think they needed to define the word spell here.
I'm not blaming this game, by the way. I'm not blaming Castles and Crusades. It's kind of funny if you watch previous videos. Heathen Dog and I complain about define your freaking terms. So I would rather it be over-defined than under-defined. But it's just one of those where it's like, by now, shouldn't you? I mean, you've used spell like 1,800 times. You've probably used it, however many times before this point. You're already in the magic section. Do you really need to define a spell?
Yeah.
But it's just,
you know what?
Nothing to do with Castles and Crusades. Yeah, I do agree with that.
Spell slots. The number of spells at each spell level that a character can prepare each day as reflected on the character class tables, which of course goes up depending on what kind of magic user you are and what level you are. Bonus spells. These are additional spells that can be cast each day as a result of a high score in a related attribute. Depending on your class, if you have a high attribute rating, you will get extra spells per day just because you're smarter, more charismatic, wiser, whatever. Known spells. The spells in a wizard's spellbook or the spells allowed by a cleric or druid's deity from which a character can select and prepare spells each day. This is the repertoire of spells that you have learned. You have learned, you can memorize, you can prepare. There are spells out there that you've seen that you don't know how to do, so you can't prepare them. One of your jobs as you go about in the world is collecting new spells, new and different magic.
Known spells is your recipe book. The basically, prepared spells is the recipe you're cooking.
Right. Prepared spells. There we go. The spells memorized or prayed for that are ready for a character to cast. That is, you only have so many slots, right? Well, what if you know more spells than you have slots? Well, you have to choose. You have to choose what you think you're going to need. And that's where a lot of people stumble in newer versions of D&D. I'm not going to say which one. Spell resistance. A special ability possessed by certain monsters and characters that may negate spells cast against them. May. It's resistance, not proof. But
right.
We've already talked about this. There are some races that have an inherent spell resistance. There are some classes like Barbarian that gives you a small amount of spell resistance that increases as you level up. And there are, of course, some creatures out there, monsters that have inherent spell resistance. And now we are at the nature of magic, and I'll let Max take over.
All right, I'm going to breeze through the first couple paragraphs. Look, you have divine spells, which are for clerics, druids, and you have, as already said, you have arcane spells for magic users and illusionists. But where it starts to actually talk about a little bit, gets a little bit deeper here. The magic used by wizards and this isn't it. Okay, well, actually, there is a sentence in here I want to read. Wizards and illusionists, unlike clerics and druids, share very few spells in common. The two forms of arcane magic are quite distant from one another. Let me end that sentence. From one another. Wizards use their mystical knowledge to create and give form or to enhance or physically alter form. Illusionists, on the other hand, alter one's perception of form and reality. That's the kicker right there. What I wanted to say over here is, like, I didn't like or creates arcane energies either, because I think there's going to be a little bit better definition coming up in a paragraph or two. Wizardly magic deals with direct manipulations of the real and concrete.
Yep.
Wizards use magic to create and give form or to enhance or physically alter form. What's that?
I'm on board.
Okay. They funnel it, channel it, and redirect it. A wizard's magic is based on the metaphysical properties of the world. Wow. I'm glad I didn't read that comma. It's based on the metaphysical properties of the world around them. Okay, that shouldn't be them, but whatever. This whole sentence needs to be rewritten. just
push through, man. Push through.
But it's in my head now that I said it. Through. Even though a wizard may alter reality, it is most important to remember that such reality is perceived in the same way by all who view it, whether the caster, the recipient, the victim, or anyone viewing the spell.
Yep, makes perfect sense to me. And here's where it gets shitty.
In contrast, illusionists utilize a very different type of magic. Illusionists alter the perception of form and reality for each creature who is subjected to it or views it. Who is subjected to it or views it. There we go. An illusionist is every bit as real to the spell's recipient or viewer as a physical creation. Say that again. An illusion is every bit as real to the spell's recipient or viewer as a physical creation. I absolutely envision the Earth Dawn illusionist in this game. That's how I see this illusionist without the goofy spells that Earth Dawn has. Indeed, an illusionist calls forth magic. Just remove that word. It's not even needed. An illusionist calls forth magic and gives it a form that can be more easily perceived to the senses. The actual illusion is the comprehensible form of the magic given. They create reality.
Yep.
Illusionists create reality. Yeah, Green Lantern. There you go.
I mean, they should just call them lantern bearers or ring bearers or whatever. You know, it's you're going all DC on me here, and it still pisses me off.
This is where if you go back and watch Seventh Printing, Heath and Dog and I disagreed there. We still disagree. I do like it. I think there's some tweaks. I do think that it might be a little heavy-handed on the reality side of it. At least the Earth Dawn illusionist actually had to do illusions. You know, the reality side of it was out there so that you couldn't just assume it was an illusion, and the reality side of it is also weaker.
Yeah, and this definition of illusion is stupid. If you're actually creating an illusion that is absolutely real to the recipient, it's not an illusion. It's not an illusion anymore. It's absolutely real. It just said it. It was 100% real to the recipient, which means you created something real. And that's wizard territory.
But it's real only in that person's mind.
But if it's real to them in every way, like it said, that's a fucking quote, then it's the exact same thing as making something out of nothing.
But only to that person. It doesn't make it part of reality. It's only that person's reality. You're messing with somebody's mind. It's like a hallucination.
No, it's not. It's not a hallucination if it's real.
You can die from hallucinations.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Because
you can have a bad trip.
If I make a bullet that's real only to you, you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
That makes the bullet real to everyone because it killed you.
If nobody sees a gun, a bullet, if there's no bullet to be found, if there's literally nothing, only in your mind do you see it and you die, it's still an illusion.
No, it's real enough to the guy who got shot.
Illusions can kill.
100% real for him. Sorry, buddy.
Thus, it could be argued that illusionist magic is the most powerful of all magics, as it can allow those affected by it to defy nature. Now, this is what I call the Wile E. Coyote syndrome. Just for the rest of this paragraph, just imagine Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Okay.
Those affected defy nature and its physical laws, even beyond those that exist in a fantasy universe. In practical terms, the illusionist convinces a spell recipient that what he senses is real by altering and giving comprehensible form to magic. A rope, though illusionary, is real to the one climbing it. A bridge, though illusionary, is real to the one crossing it. An illusionist can even trick the mind to such an extent that the physical body responds. The alteration of a recipient's perception brings about actual physical effect through the force of the illusionist's magic. Thus, illusions can cause damage and can heal with lasting effect.
An illusion that has actual physical effect is not an illusion, you fucking asshat. Oops, sorry. No, I'm not allowed to swear. Sorry.
Changing reality.
That's not an illusion.
If it only happens in your mind,
it
is an illusion.
It's not only happening in your mind. It just said an illusionary rope will carry someone up a cliff. Everyone watching that will see someone climbing something they can't see, but obviously going up the damn cliff.
And if you try to do it there, it's an illusion.
They believe there's a rope there that they can't see, but it's there, or else he wouldn't be freaking just floating and levitating up this goddamn thing.
In a world of magic, that might just be what it is. Somebody's just floating up doing this. What is it? The super mime. The mime actually works.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, that's what the illusionist is. It's a super mime.
There we go.
That's what illusion is in this game. Super mimes.
I won't argue that one. All right. The fundamental difference, that doesn't matter. I did want to go... Because I know Heathen Dog has his issues with the illusionist, and there's obviously a distinction between the illusionist and the mage. I did want to read those paragraphs. We don't have to read everything, verbatim now. But we can go to preparing spells. You want to do this? You want me to keep going?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Methods for preparing and casting spells is generally the same for characters of all spellcasting classes. Spellcasters must prepare their spells for casting on a daily basis, and they utilize roughly the same process to do so. Wizards and dumbasses. Wizards and dumbasses learn complex arcane formulas to harness magic and give it effect. Their spells are known as arcane spells, blah, 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 don't care. Each day, wizards memorize and prepare the spell they intend to cast during the day. Each character's level limits the number of spells the character can prepare. These are the slots I was talking about earlier.
Where are you? I was doing some chat stuff.
Scroll down.
Oh, here we are.
Each day.
Yep.
There we go. I'm in the middle of the paragraph now. Although a high or low intelligence score might grant bonus spells or take it away from the typical number of daily spells gained. That's what I talked about earlier. That's the bonus slots. A wizard must have access to a spell book to study and sufficient light to read in order to prepare spells. A character can use a borrowed spell book or a spell book written by another magic user to prepare a spell the character already knows and has recorded in his own book, but must read magic first to be cast in order to decipher in the writing of the book. Okay, here we go.
That's pretty typical of D&D type stuff.
Yeah, it is. But for those who don't know, I'm going to break it down, okay? Think of it this way. Each person learns magic in their own way. And so they write down the spells they use in a way that they understand.
You're killing me, Holmes.
It's written in the same language, but think of it as your personal shorthand. So if you want to use another person's book, even though they're a wizard just like you open to it, you're not going to immediately understand it. Like, what's this notes in the margins? What is this guy doing? Bullet points? Who the fuck uses bullet points? No. You cast read magic on it, and it will decipher it for you into a form that you can understand. And as long as you have studied that spell and learned it before, you can now memorize it using someone else's book. That's fine. Fine and dandy. That's basically what that's saying. Okay, now before you memorize spells, a character needs to sleep and rest. Okay, sleep and rest. Now, I can only imagine they're saying that because if you sleep and don't get rest, you can't memorize spells.
Well, there's also the other part where it's like, well, you only slept for 6.5 hours, so I'm going to take them away from you. Dude, I was laying in bed just studying my book. Leave me alone.
Yeah, so you have to sleep and rest for a total of 8 hours. So you can sleep for 4 hours and rest for 4 hours, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
See? So they're getting around that butthead.
I've actually seen game masters do that nonsense.
Yeah. Trying to get around that butthead castle keeper that might try that for you. No. Combination of sleep and rest for 8 hours is what you need. The character need not slumber. See? Need not slumber, and top of the next page. Where is it? Every minute of the time, but must refrain from movement, combat, spellcasting, anything that is demandingly physical. You can go to the bathroom, you can eat, all that stuff. You know,
the fact that has to be written really disturbs me, but I understand why it's written in there.
Again, better to clarify than not. If the rest is interrupted, each interruption adds 1 hour to the total amount of time. You don't have to start over the 8 hours, but if you got into a combat for 5 minutes at hour 4, you lost 1 hour of hour 4. So now you're on hour 3. So now you need 5 more hours of rest and or sleep. Fine. 100% cool with that. In addition to the complete hour of rest immediately prior to preparing spells for the day, it takes 15 minutes per spell level for a character to study a spell book and memorize the spell for the day. So not only do you need the 8 hours of any combination of sleep and rest, but you also need, after that time, 15 minutes per spell level that you're memorizing. So if you're memorizing a 3rd level spell, you're going to need 45 minutes to memorize that spell for the day.
Wait, hold on. Let me. Was it per spell level?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Per spell. Sorry. Per spell. You're right. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Thank you very much. Per spell. So if you're memorizing, say, 3 spells, that's 45 minutes. If you're a high level wizard, maybe you have 20 spells.
To be fair, the reason why that stuck out to me is because from playing 2nd edition, Heathen Dog and I know it is per spell level, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things I liked about this game was like, okay, It's 15 minutes, not 10 minutes, but that's fine because it's just 15 minutes per spell.
Per spell.
Cool.
Right. Sorry. I
don't have to take 3 days to memorize my entire litany that I can blow.
I flash back. It's great. But you know, this actually helps, because if you don't go through all your spells in a day, those are slots you don't have to rememorize. So you won't take as much time the next day. So that's great. A character need not prepare a full complement of spells allowed per day, but preparing even one spell takes at least 1 hour of rest and 15 minutes of study. Okay. To prepare any spell, the character must have enough peace, quiet, and comfort to do all the things we've already said. Exposure to inclement weather, that's not rest. All right. If you're in the rain, you're in the freezing cold, you can't build a fire, you're not resting. You're suffering. Suffering doesn't allow you the 8 hours of rest and or sleep. Until a character prepares spells from a spell book, the only spells available to cast are the ones the character already had the previous day. So it's not a use them or lose them type thing. Once you memorize a spell, you have it until you use it. Whether you use it today or next year, doesn't matter. You have it until you use it. So if you are on an overland journey, you can cut down on your daily time of, oh my God, we got to wait for the wizard to read his damn book for all this time. Just memorize a couple of spells a day. By the time to get to where you're going, you got your full complement. All right. So pro tip, there you go. And then we slow down, then we move down, leave slots open. Talked about that already. When the character prepares a spell, it remains in the character's mind until the character triggers it, blah, blah, blah. We did that.
Yeah, all right. I don't think we have to read. We don't have to read too much of this.
Yeah. But now we'll move on to clerics and druids, which is right below that picture.
Okay. Never mind. Yep. That's
there good. We go. Clerics and druids prepare their spells in largely the same manner. They choose and prepare spells ahead of time, just as a wizard would. But clerics or druids do not require spell books. Instead, clerics select and prepare spells ahead of time through prayer and meditation at a particular time of day. And violence solves everything. Yes, this is why every party should buy a wagon so the mage can do his crap while in the wagon. As long as you're not going fast and as long as the road is good, because the castle keeper could say, no, it's too bumpy, or no, you're going too fast. And that's not considered rest.
It's a cushy wagon. Leave me alone.
Okay.
I hate that. No, I get what you're saying. And there is some legitimacy to that. And I think we've both been through that. It's just really annoying. Oh, you hit 2 bumps. It can happen to you. Yeah. One of the things that I like that this does, because sometimes when I'm reading this, I'm like, this isn't necessary to put in here, but it actually is necessary. How many games have you been in where the game master or the castle keeper or whatever game you're playing, dungeon master, doesn't make clerics memorize spells?
A lot. I haven't. They just pray at the beginning of the day for like 5 minutes and boom, they have them.
So not only are clerics overpowered, they can wear armor, they have a decent attack or whatever, to hit. They have, and they can cast spells and heal. They don't have to memorize. Like, hold on, I'm casting this one now. And I'm going to be upfront with you guys. The vast majority of AD&D games that I've been in do that.
Yeah.
Just over the years. And this is around the world. This isn't like, oh, well, I played with Heathen Dog a couple times. It was from high school. It was from my first groups. It was from my Andrews group, which is Heathen Dog. It's from playing in other countries. It's weird. Like, where did this come from? Or that just got house ruled in? So I'm glad it says here, it says, no, they choose and prepare spells ahead of time.
Right. But they don't have to carry around books. That's their big thing. But here's the catch for them. Some deities set the time or impose other special conditions for granting spells. If some event prevents the character from praying at the proper time, the character must do so as soon as possible thereafter. If the character does not stop to pray for spells at the first opportunity, the character must wait until the next day. So, depending on what pantheon or deity that you choose to follow to get your power from, that god could say at sunrise or at sunset or when the sun is highest in the sky. This paragraph gives you some leeway if you are in combat. if you are staunching someone's like femoral artery from bleeding out on the ground during high
you got to
noon,
pray. Stop and pray right now. You're going to miss it.
You don't have to stop
Sun's
and pray
moving
right now, but after the emergency is over, you must immediately then stop and pray. If you don't, if you literally do anything else, you got to wait till the next appropriate time. That's it. I like that. I like that a lot. The time required for a divine spellcaster to prepare spells is the same as a wizard. So it's not, oh God, give me all of my stuff. I want to be OP'd right now. Boom. You have all your spells. No. You have the same restriction as a wizard. Every spell you pray for takes 15 minutes to pray for. If people don't want to wait around to watch you pray, then you either stop praying or you say, suck it, chump. I'm praying.
All right.
Those are your two options.
Yeah. Remember when you got healed? Yeah. I think you can hold on for 15 minutes.
Yeah, you can hold on, man. I'm going to get that heal shit back. All right. The choice of spells is limited to those in your spell book, or a cleric or druid may pick up any spell from the applicable spell list unless the character's deity imposes a restriction. Okay, it said spell book. I don't like that. Oh, unlike arcane magic users. A cleric can choose any spell that the deity or pantheon allows. It doesn't matter if you've cast it before. It doesn't matter if you've ever even heard it before. If it's in the book and your deity says thumbs up, you can say, I want to try that. 15 minutes later, you can give it a shot. Okay, so you already have a whole lot more latitude than a wizard or a Green Lantern. All right, so get used to that. That's already good stuff. Acquiring new spells.
I don't understand this question.
Oh, how interesting is the process of preparing spells?
He just read it.
Yeah, you were gone. I just read it. I mean, it's for a wizard, it's 15 minutes of study in a book per spell. For a cleric, it's 15 minutes of praying per spell. There you go.
And I'd allow a cleric.
I'd let you take acquiring new spells.
Thanks. I would also allow a cleric to just read out of a hymnal or a equivalent of a Bible, whatever, something religious. I would be a little flexible on that, but ultimately it's the same thing.
Just pray.
Giving veneration to your.
Yes. I would make it flagellate.
Boom. All right. Acquiring new spells. Spellcasters, both arcane and divine, seek to add new spells to their repertoire, but the process for adding new spells is different. Wow, why am I struggling reading this stuff? Yeah, I mean, I can see it, but my brain doesn't want to process the words the way they're written. For adding new spells is different for each. Wizards and illusionists. Most arcane... I'm sorry, yeah. Wizards and... I like illusionists. I'm going to say it. Most arcane spellcasters... Oh my God. Most arcane spellcasters desire, beyond all other treasure, the acquisition of new spells for their spellbooks. Wizards and illusionists learn and add new spells through several methods. Gaining a level. Hey, look at that. Just as a fighter constantly practices with their weapons. I did it. I said it. A wizard or illusionist spends time researching and learning about arcane magic and spells. When a character gains a new level, he chooses one new spell and adds it to his spellbook. Okay, this is something I've never liked, but I understand. I don't like the fact I open my book and there's something new here. I get it. It's a game, but I don't like it. At the same time, I let the character pick whatever spell it is, and at the first opportunity, maybe some treasure, maybe they're in town, whatever the group's doing. Hey, there you go. Get your spell.
This has a different explanation. It's talking about throughout the entire level, it is assumed that they have been studying, practicing, thinking about it, and suddenly they have come across the eureka moment and they have it. If
that's the case, then before the character makes a level, I'll have the player tell me what spell he wants. And then we could do. I can't have some sort of oh, hold on, let me see what spell I get right now. No, there's got to be something.
Well, no, there is an argument against that. It's the whole Post-it note argument. The guy who invented Post-it notes wasn't looking to invent Post-it notes. It just happened to turn out that way through research. So it could be something like that. They were researching general, magical properties and ended up creating this spell by accident.
But just the way I do role play, I would allow that, absolutely. The way I do role playing, but it's just got to be identified beforehand. Like something. There's got to be something there, not just like, hey, I'm going to add 3 pages to my book or whatever. I'm not saying that the rule is wrong. I'm actually glad that the rule is written like this, because then Heathen Dog handles it this way, you handle it that way, I handle it this way, whatever. I'm just saying, like, in my game, you're not just going to open up the book and magically delicious, there's a freaking spell there. It's going to be, hey, the next opportunity, which could be really close. Like usually in my D&D games, if you're stuck in a dungeon or traveling, I'll give you the opportunity to buy it or find it or whatever. It's got to be more organic.
Okay,
for me.
That is Max Liao's opinion. That is not reflected in the rules of this book.
No, it is not. It is not reflected in the rules.
Okay.
In fact, the spell chosen must be a level the character can cast. For example, upon attaining second level, a wizard may add 1 additional first level spell to the character's spell book. Oh, now you do it right. The wizard automatically knows the spell and can prepare it. No. No, but the rules do say yes. Yeah, okay. I get it, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to have a wizard like, I'm 5th level, I'm still throwing first level spells around, a-hole. I absolutely get that. I just want it to be more organic. So the rule is not bad. A good castle keeper will find a way of making that happen a little bit more organically. Deciphering spells. To decipher spells in another spell book, so this is I'm grabbing Heathen Dog's spell book while he's sleeping. A character must first cast Read Magic on the spell to be deciphered. Once a character successfully casts Read Magic, the character can learn or attempt to learn new spells. Okay, that's, again, like a lot of other D&D-ish type stuff, and he covered that a little bit before.
I did.
So let's look at learning and copying, see if there's anything new here. A character must first decipher the spells contained in the spellbook or scroll as described above. Thereafter, the character can learn the new spells from the book by spending 1 day plus 1 day per level of spell. Okay, so if you're getting a 3rd level spell, that's 4 days. That makes sense.
Yep.
Nice, easy math. Okay. The person who created... What's that?
Keep reading.
Okay. If the person who created the spell book is on hand to help the reader can learn the spell in 1/2 the normal time. Even better. So when Heathen Dog catches me stealing a spell book, he helps me learn it.
Number 1, no, you get a knife for that. And number 2, nowhere in here does it say to round up or round down.
Then that should be just taken as round normal. Shouldn't need to be told round up, round down. You should only be needed told if it's...
I mean, usually things like this, they say round up or round down, but it doesn't. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
So, if it takes 5 days to learn the spell and you have a teacher that brings it 1/2 to 2.5, it's going to use normal rounding methods and you're going to round up to 3.
This is kind of like what you were saying.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was saying. Yes.
I don't agree with that. No, I don't have a problem with it as long as the characters the player is telling me beforehand. That's really all it is. Like you've never even looked at your spellbook, now all of a sudden mysteriously no. I'm changing the process of preparing spells. I meant from a storytelling perspective of players playing the game. I'm memorizing spells while the warriors out sword training and pissing. Who's making the eggs? I don't know. All right. See, the number of days necessary to have with okay. So
minimum of 1.
Hold on. The number of days necessary to learn a spell is reduced by a number of days equal to the character's intelligence modifier with a minimum of 1 day. So there are a lot of things in here. You can learn spells pretty quickly.
Yeah,
minimum with 1 day being the minimum.
If you have a 17 or 18, you get a +2 or +3 to that thing. So, for example, if you're learning a 5th level spell, it'll take you 6 days. If you have a +2 intelligence bonus, that's down to 4. But
if some jackal's helping you,
if you're learning from a spell book from someone else and he's helping you, that 6 days goes to 3, and then you get a -2 because of your modifier, and it's down to 1. You just learned a 5th level spell in 1 day.
You're gonna go that way with the math?
Well, I'm doing it in order from what it tells me. It tells me round down for help, and then in the paragraph later on, it says attribute modifier. So I'm going in the order that it gave.
All right. Maybe. I came up with 2.
I think they'll end up being 1 anyway.
If Castle Keeper may choose to require the character to make a successful intelligence check to learn a new spell. It says may choose.
May choose. You don't have to.
Don't do that with the one spell that the person gets at the level.
Yeah, definitely. The one spell they get they get, but this is my opinion with these rules. I would not make someone roll an intelligence check if they have a mentor or an assistant. I wouldn't make them because they have someone to explain it to them. I just have them learn it. But if they're trying to learn a spell on their own from somebody else's book or from a scroll they found, I would likely make them roll an intelligence check. That's just me though.
And once a new spell is learned, the character can copy it into a spellbook as described below. The process of copying leaves the spellbook or scroll from which it was copied unharmed.
That is different than several iterations of D&D and some other games.
Is it? Because in D&D,
scrolls,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, when you use them, put them in a spell book, they lose their magical ability.
But not when you copy from another spell book.
No, not when you copy another spell book, but it specifically says scrolls still work. And in many iterations of D&D, that is not true. So I'm glad they put that in here.
Once a wizard understands a new spell, it can be copied into a spellbook. The process requires a day plus 1 additional day per spell level. 0 level spells require 1 day. A spell takes up 1 page of the spellbook per spell level. You know what? I always liked rolling my spell pages, but to be fair, that's clunky.
Yeah.
Like this just makes it easier. All right, moving on. I don't care about the costs and so forth. Replacing spell books. The same procedure for learning a spell is used to reconstruct.
Whoa, hang on. The cost is significant.
A normal spell book
for writing a spell costs 100 gold pieces per page.
Yeah,
that seems like a lot. But hey, to be fair, we haven't gotten to the how much money you get for adventuring part of it yet.
Well,
so I don't know.
Also, on top of that, this is a talent for the elite.
Yeah, fair.
Better have a good benefactor. All right. The same procedure for learning a spell. Okay, so we already said that. If the character already has a particular spell prepared, the character can write it directly into a new book at a cost of 100 gold piece per page.
Again.
So, not worried about the time. If the spell is not prepared, the character may not reconstruct it from memory, but can prepare it from a borrowed spell book. Wow, so you better have copies of your spell books.
Yeah.
You're gonna be spending a lot of your time duplicating.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy so far. I don't know yet, but so far they haven't said that something weird like a wizard spell book is a material link right to their brain. You can cast a spell through a spell book; it'll shoot in their brain and blow it up like scanners. So having multiple copies is actually a good thing.
There are no sorcerers in this game.
Yep.
And nobody likes sorcerers. I burn all sorcerers at the stake.
There you go.
Because they have poison blood. Yep. Now, Darthiek said he can. I have to look at the rules again because I'll be honest with you, I don't remember off the top of my head. I do remember playing with DMs though that say that when I tried to copy a spell from a scroll, that the scroll was used up.
No, there are some iterations of advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if it's first or second.
Because the scroll didn't actually house the entire energy of the spell. That's like one of the little tweaky little words that they use for the terminology. But to be fair, right now I don't remember the rule off the top of my head. If in second edition AD&D it does that. So, all right. Research, character research, a spell independently, duplicating it at the end of the process. So, okay, didn't tell how to do that? Just says research it independently?
It just says research it.
Okay, I guess we'll have to find the research instructions, probably in the Castle Keeper Guide. Reading a scroll into a spellbook. We got dragon. We got that that dragon speaking say or whatever the hell that program's called now.
Speaking spell.
A character must first decipher the spell contained on a scroll by casting Read Magic. Because this scroll is magical, and the reduction of the spell to the scroll this is what I was talking about. This second edition does this.
It's condensed version, yeah.
And the reduction of the spell to the scroll involves all necessary components for casting the spell from the scroll. A character can simply read a scroll into a spellbook. Oh, that is awesome. That's like the opposite of the way people treat me when I play D&D.
Right. Doing so copies the spell into your spellbook, but destroys the scroll in the process.
That's fine. I lose the temporary iteration and get the permanent iteration. I'm okay with that.
One. Yes. But I wouldn't want to do that, man, because scrolls are so useful.
Well, if you've got a couple copies or something.
Well, then you're very rich, I suppose.
Again, depends on who your dungeon master is. If you've got a couple of copies from me, I guarantee you're going to be You're gonna be using those. I gave you them for a reason. But yeah, magic of the what? Of the what? The magic of the illusionist. Illusion spells tend to baffle and confuse players and castle keepers alike. Oh wait, we're gonna get an education now. The source of the illusion is often as confusing as the illusion itself. The word illusion itself seems to connote, or it shouldn't be connotate. I don't know. Maybe it's connote. Maybe I just got wordified. It seems to connote the magic user's magic is purely illusionary, unreal, meaning a strong or schooled mind can see through the illusion's trickery and machinations and entirely ignore its effects. Yet this could not be more wrong. Heathen Dog puts on my baby picture. Heathen Dog could not be more wrong. Some of the illusions are in fact simple illusions, while others are the mind's conquest over matter. And still others are channeled magic displayed with such force that their conjured elements are as real as the wizard's magic missile or cleric's spiritual weapon. Woo.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, there you go. To understand the illusionist spells, we must first understand the illusionist. Oh, God. I don't want to get into the mind of an illusionist. The illusionist is a magic-using class whose title does not necessarily equate to his skill set. The illusionist class...
We can skip this if you want.
But I think people need to know it.
No one needs to play an illusionist.
But it's part of the game. It's obviously a contentious part of the game.
It's not vital.
It's not vital. General. Oh, thank you. Oh, is that for me? Eventually for me? Thank you. Where was I? Illusionist class description, generalized word established from a wizard. It defines a class that uses magic in a subtle but very different manner from the wizard, druid, or cleric. They're not tricksters. They're not tricksters, so they're not the Earthbound illusionists. No. The illusionist has no skills. Okay, illusionists have no skills that allow them to fool or trick targets into believing something is what it isn't. Not sure I agree with that line.
And now we're back to Green Lantern.
Now we're back to Green Lantern. Now, you know what? With that line in there, I'm leaning the Heathen Dog direction now. That line...
They're actually creating reality, not the illusion.
Such skills belong in the domain of a street urchin, jester, or some other buffoon who has no recourse in making a way in the world. Wow, a little arrogant there. Other than tricking others through sleight of hand. The illusionist is a master of magic. He bends his will. What? The illusionists are, I'm going to just read it the other way. The illusionists are a master of magic. They bend their back in years of study to rise to the level of even a beginner in the craft. What? Who cares? The illusionist is a master of time and substance. His abilities transcend the simple illusions of a trickster. Rather, the illusionist conjures material from the essence of the world around them.
Then it's not an illusion.
Yeah. This paragraph is an illusion. The illusions are not.
It's real. It's just real for us right now.
Yeah, right. The illusions are not simple parlor tricks to fool the weak of mind, but are powerful incantations drawing upon their own powerful minds. I can't read this anymore. You know, the rest of the book was written fairly well. This is just one of the worst written paragraphs I've ever read, and I'm trying to read it in a way that I enjoy it, and I'm trying to get it through the Heathen Dog, and I'm failing on all three counts. They weaves these musings. They weave these musings with magic drawn from the world around them, thereby fabricating the very stuff of reality. Illusionists can literally create something from nothing. Well, if you're going to put the note up there, put it up for more than, a half a second. Jeez. Why didn't they just call it a conjurer? I don't know. This is a paragraph that you can understand but still hate it. I understand the intent. You know what? I'm just going to say right now, I prefer the Earth-on definition because I can believe it through the Earth-on definition of the illusionist, which is the illusionist must have some reality, otherwise everybody sees through it. I like the illusionist class. Didn't I say this for 7th printing also, where it's like I like the illusionist class, but I think I could go with a different name though.
Yeah. I
think you finally beat me down on that one.
I went on the live stream with the creator and asked him why he's calling a carburetor a battery, because an illusionist doesn't do illusions. And he went on a long thing on why he loves illusions so much. And I can't trust him with classes, because the assassin class is awesome and he hates it. The illusion class sucks and he loves it.
I think the hatred isn't the fact that he hates the class. He hates the idea of it being first and that people want to play something so strikingly evil.
It's not necessarily evil, you know. It's not necessarily evil. And but this is definitely not an illusionist. I didn't think of it, but conjurer, yes. Max Boyven is absolutely correct. Should be called a conjurer.
The problem is conjuration actually makes it real to everybody, though.
Okay, it's you're conjuring that's only real to one person. It's still not an illusion to anyone, because it has real effects for that one person that other people can see.
You know what I want to call it? What I really want to call it?
What?
I want to call it a mind melter.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to call the class a mind melter.
Yep.
I've been digging into Palladium too much recently, but okay. All right. Well, I still like the class, whatever it's called. I like it. This would be a class I'd play. But that's my baby face. He's stealing my baby face. I'm the one that cries. All right. Misconception exists that someone knowing an illusionist is an illusion. What? The misconception exists that someone knowing an illusionist is an illusionist would therefore possess some kind of immunity to the illusions. The illusions, not there. Jesus Christ. This idea is an absolute misreading of the class descriptor. First, no illusionist would introduce. Why would you do this? Pick one, dumbasses, as an illusionist. That would be as silly as someone introducing himself as an assassin, rogue, or thief. Such titles would immediately make others... In Earthdawn, that's exactly what you do. In Earthdawn, you're like, I'm a thief. Such titles would immediately make others wary of the individual, and in some cases could prove to be an automatic death sentence. Yeah, if you just know that the illusionist is going to lie to you all the time.
I'll melt your mind!
Okay, can't go with Mind Melter then. That's what he actually referenced actually happened in a game, and the character died. Oh my god, that's a perfect... Heathen Dog wins the internet today. Second, an illusionist magic does not require belief. As noted above, this is a misconception of the class and its abilities. The illusionist is no trickster, and one cannot simply choose to disbelieve the illusionist magic.
Okay, this is not a misconception of the magic. It's a misconception of the definition of the word illusionist, dumbass. Not the writer.
I know.
Okay.
Again, I don't have the heartburn that Heathen Dog does on this. I think a different name might be in order, but I don't have a problem with this, but I understand where Heathen Dog's coming from. Like, his argument is valid. The illusionist will now be known as psychic in our game going forward, as in such banned from play. Oh. Some of the illusionist spells are hypnotic. Many, if not most, of the illusionist spells have real, tangible effects regardless of the victim's beliefs. The illusionist is not a less than adequate mage. Okay? The illusionist is an adventurer with the ability to wield powerful sorcery, summoning, and shaping the world around him like no other, bringing to life reality created... I'm not reading this crap anymore. Let's just go down to illusionist and healing. Again, it's for a completely different reason. You guys, anybody's watched the streams knows why I'm upset with this. It has nothing to do with what Heathen Dog's talking about. But I can't read that crap anymore. I'm skipping. Okay. Castles and Crusades has a wholly unique approach to illusory magic in making the illusion real. All right, Heathen Dog, come on back and talk about that sentence, because that sentence is directed to Heathen Dog.
Okay, now the Castles and Crusades wholly unique take on illusionists is like my wholly unique take that gravity doesn't exist, or that
the illusionist can make that happen for you.
All knives are made of rubber, and bullets tickle. All right, that is completely analogous. I reject your reality and substitute it with stupidity. That's exactly what this is.
What?
No, he's talking about like an actual.
Oh, I missed the original. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this whole paragraph, I mean, I'm sorry, that whole sentence is an excuse or a reason why I'm calling this obviously not illusionist an illusionist,
Okay.
and it doesn't hold water. It's a screen door in a submarine.
The more powerful the illusionist, the greater the impact the illusionist and his spells can have on the game. I mean, that's just being a higher level caster.
Yeah.
In Castles and Crusade, illusionists can heal damage, and we talked about that with the 7th printing when I remember that.
Dumb.
Illusionists heal damage in the same manner in which they cause damage, not by tricking targets, but rather by projecting their own magical power into the target and changing the nature of time and substance.
That's not illusion. That's psionics. That's second edition AD&D psychic healing.
It's actually going to compare it to mage, so that's what life.
Yeah.
Life prime.
Yeah, that's a life prime route. Yeah.
You do not trick the target's mind into psychically. Wow, healing itself. So, are you sure it's psionics? Because no, it's not psychic. Okay, they do not trick the target's mind to psychically healing itself. That assumption assumes the target is mentally able to do such a thing. Mind over matter. Didn't we talk about that a few paragraphs ago? The power of the illusionist does not reside in the target. The illusionist power solely resides in the illusionist. Illusionists heal through their own magic. While a cleric... Okay, see, that's a good sentence. While a cleric channels the magic of a deity, serving as a bridge between the deity and the target to heal it. An illusionist channels or controls the natural magic of the world. And you went back to being stupid. Illusionists channel or control the natural magic of the world around them, using the target's own mind as a bridge between the magic and the target. The more powerful the illusionist... Okay, yeah. All right. I didn't really want to read all of that, but it was kind of necessary because the discussion Heathen Dog and I were having.
Yeah,
I think
I
was hoping somewhere in there maybe it would convert him. If anything, it's actually moved me to the other side a little bit. Not fully. I still like the class. I don't have a problem with it called Illusionist. It doesn't bother me, but I get it.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say?
Your needle moved.
Yeah, my needle moved. I'm still on the okay side.
Yeah.
I'm not over here. I'm not flatlined over here.
No,
I'm still over here.
Flatlined.
But it went from like here to there. It's like 50-50 now on the it's okay. It's like you could have done better, but I'm not worried about it. It's
Illusionists and sorcerers get the same fate. We're gonna see if they float or we're gonna burn them.
But most people, I'll tell you, most people in our chat agree with you. Most people in our chat agree with you.
Yep. Make up their own personal definition of what illusion is. Exactly. Yeah. Calling a catalytic converter a tire. That's exactly what's going on here.
I see the argument. I absolutely see the argument. But what would you call it? Because I mean, if you want to quibble about that, we could quibble about the conjure thing doesn't work for me because you're not actually, but you're not conjuring.
Psychic is better.
Psychic, actually, you know what? I agree with that. That might have some other connotations to it that people don't want to deal with. Like, I don't want psychics or sorcerers in my game.
Well, I don't want illusionists in my game. So there you go. Right.
I hear the word sorcerer and I instantly go, nope. Like that's just a knee jerk.
But a sorcerer even would be more appropriate than an illusionist because a sorcerer magic, while dumb and idiotic, is still real.
Well, and even if sorcerer has, if we take the D&D sorcerer, I agree with you. But if you just use the word sorcerer, that can mean so many different things. Just like witch can mean so many different things.
Yes, it is a broad general definition,
and you could redefine what you want.
You can make it specific instead of the broad general definition, and in your game, making it not fall into any of the spectrum anywhere is a dumb move.
I don't see this, but I don't see this as psychic powers. I mean, at least I didn't with the 7th printing. Yeah, I do see it as mind affecting, but I don't see it no more mind affecting than enchantment charm. But we'll see. Oops. We'll see.
Clerics and druids. Okay, let's get back to reality and talk about God.
Well, I was going to kind of skip some of this stuff because do you really care about research? Yeah, we do need to. We need to. I just don't want this to take 7 hours. Characters who can cast divine spells undertake a certain amount of study of divine magic between adventures. Each time a character receives a new level of divine spells, the character learns a new spell from that level automatically. See, I'm more okay with that because I kind of feel that God's giving it to
gives
you.
it to you. Like it came into a dream, or the last time you prayed, God said, "You've been doing well, my son. Blessing be upon you." Boom.
I could see there be some supplication in, if the wizard's got to wait flagellation. There you go. If the wizard's got to wait a minute to get his spell, I can see that the cleric also waiting a minute to get his by, how about this? After you tithe to the church, then you got it. Some crap, like that, whatever. Well, for example, a cleric wow, I completely misread that at first. For example, a cleric reaching 3rd level is granted knowledge of all spells on the second level cleric list by the deity.
Yep.
Additionally, a cleric or druid can research a spell independently. Now, this I kind of want to focus on. Only the creator of such a spell can prepare and cast it, unless the character decides to share it with others. Some such creators share their research with their churches, but others do not.
I don't understand this at all.
So far, I'm not understanding it. So, I have to get through because aren't they just granted by divine?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Let's push through. Maybe they'll explain it.
The character can create a magic scroll, which is, again, kind of normal.
Sure.
Or write a special text similar to a spell book to contain spells the character independently researched.
What?
Other divine spellcasters who find the spell in written form can learn to cast it, provided they're of sufficient level to do so.
What?
And are of the same class as its creator.
What?
If I already have access to the entire list,
then hang on. Then the only spells that I don't know are ones my deity didn't want to give me.
Right.
So learning that would probably piss off God. Why would I want to do that? But it says see divine magical writings. So maybe we'll get there in a minute.
I'll let you do casting spells. My throat is getting a little.
Okay. A character who wishes to cast a spell announces his intention to the castle. See, I did what you did. To the castle keeper during the character's initiative's turn. The character must make all pertinent decisions about spell, range, target, area, effect, whatever, when the character begins casting, unless the spell specifies otherwise. The character must make some choice about whom the spell is to affect or where the effect is to originate, depending on the type of spell. The castle keeper applies whatever results a spell entails using the spell's description. Now, what they're saying, what this boils down to is when you fire a fireball in a hallway, guess what? It's a square footage thing. It's blowing back on your face. You better push it far enough away. This is what it's saying. It's telling the spellcaster, don't be stupid. Know how your spell works and use it appropriately.
And just as a reminder, because Twitter seems to disagree with this idea, it is the player's responsibility to know the spells.
How their spells work, yes.
Yeah. It is not, I mean, it is the game master's as well. The game master should understand how to run the game, especially if it's a common spell. But it is not the game master's responsibility to fix your screw up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as an analogy, think of a 20th level mercenary who has mastered all of the weapons known to man. But he decides one day to check if his gun is loaded by pointing the barrel at his face and looking down the barrel and accidentally shoots himself. Well, you didn't say I couldn't do that. No. Stop it. You're just being dumb.
I'm going to comment on this comment.
As a player, I feel each cleric or druid spell should be a different prayer, and you should have to do things in your church or study.
This is how I run clerics.
Okay,
I actually have the players write prayers.
Right, and you know what? That is a completely valid homebrew thing. It is not supported in these rules.
Right, and we are going through the rules, but I do this, and I actually have the players write prayers for each spell. There can be tweaks to it. I'm not getting too pedantic about it, but just generally speaking, because I think it adds flavor, on how, a priest of I don't tend to allow evil priests, but like how an evil priest might pray versus how, and then you got the what's his name? Conan. Bye, Crumb. If you're not going to help me, fuck you, or whatever the hell he said.
Okay. To cast the spell, the character must be able to speak if the spell has a verbal component, gesture if it has a somatic component, and manipulate the material components or focus, if any. The spell descriptions indicate which components are necessary. Additionally, the character must concentrate to cast a spell. If something interrupts the character's concentration while casting, the spell is lost and marked off the character's list of prepared spells. If the character ever tries to cast a spell in conditions where the characteristics of the spell, range, area, whatever, cannot be made to conform, the casting fails and the spell is wasted. Okay, so we're going to unpack a little bit here and move on. All right. If you're in the middle of casting a spell, which means I would imagine that it is when your initiative hits and then when the spell goes off, at any time during that point, you are stabbed or punched or whatever, and you lose focus, the spell's gone, it's wasted, it doesn't go off, and you lost it. If you are trying to create 100 gallons of water in a 1-gallon container, the spell fails. You should have read your spell. It's your own
Can
fault.
I at least get the gallon?
No, you can't. God is punishing you for stupidity.
Yeah, isn't wisdom something you're supposed to have as a cleric?
Yes. Many spell durations are measured in rounds, minutes, hours, or some other increment. When the spell duration expires, spell effect ends. I don't know why they had that in there, but okay, good to know. Here's concentration. Okay,
before you read this, hold on. No, there's a reason why it's one of the things that I'm going through is I'm doing my writing as well. Writing a book for you is easy. I don't need to put crap like that in there. Writing a book for somebody who's either never played before or is brand new, you have to write to, I won't call it the lowest common denominator. You have to write to somebody who has no clue what's going on.
Okay, see, but the person that 2-sentence paragraph is written for doesn't know the definition of the word duration anyway. So it's not going to help them. So anyway, all right. Concentration. To cast a spell, the character must concentrate. If something interrupts them, they lost concentration. We're going to move on. Getting hurt or being affected by hostile magic while trying to cast a spell can break the character's concentration and ruin a spell. If while trying to cast a spell, the character takes damage, fails a saving throw, or is otherwise successfully assaulted, and no, we're not talking, oh God, no, the range touch, I did not consent. That's not what we're talking about. All right. The casting is disrupted unless the castle keeper allows a concentration check. Unless the castle keeper allows a concentration check. You don't automatically get a concentration cap, crybaby. No, it is an option for the castle keeper only.
I think people should subscribe to Crybabies.
Yep, subscribe because crybabies suck. The interrupting event strikes during spell casting if it comes during the time when the character starts and completes the spell. For a spell with a casting time of more than 1 full round. Anything that could break the character's concentration when casting a spell can also break the concentration necessary to maintain a spell. A character can't cast a spell while concentrating on another one. Okay, one spell at a time, people. If you're holding up a magical barrier, you cannot also cast another spell to pew somebody who's made it around the barrier or whatever. No, you got to choose.
But I have 2 hands. I should be able to hold up the barrier this way and finger wiggle over here.
You know what you only got one of? Brain. Suck it up.
I have 2 halves.
Yeah, but they don't work together very well. Ask any neuroscientist. The only spells the character can cast while grappling or pinned are those without somatic components and whose material components the character has in hand at the time. So you can be bound, gagged in a wrestling move, in a half Nelson, whatever, and still cast a spell that doesn't require your hands or material components. It's fine. It's fine. You can be gagged and still cast a spell that doesn't require any verbal components. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Using scrolls. Scrolls are spells reduced to a portable form. Not only does a scroll contain the text of a spell, all necessary components, except verbal, that have been magically incorporated into the scroll. But that means that the reason scrolls cost so much and are so valuable is because all of the material components are literally fused into the parchment. They're in there. You're holding it. So that's why they're so valuable. Before using a scroll, the character must decipher it by casting Read Magic. Okay, I'm going to keep reading, but I might have a question. The character can then read the scroll aloud, casting the spell contained in it, just as if the character had the spell prepared. The spell's casting time, range, area effect, duration, and other details and limitations are no different. A spell contained in a scroll can only be cast once. When the spell is cast from a scroll, the spell disappears or destroys the scroll. There are some limitations on the use of scrolls, of course. A character must be of a class that can cast that type of spell,
That's an important one.
Yeah, a druid can't cast a wizard spell, and illusionist doesn't exist, so we don't care about that. A character can cast a spell from a scroll that they have not learned or recorded in their spellbook. However, the character must be of high enough level to cast the spell found on the scroll. So, if you have a 9th level spell scroll, and you are a 1st level wizard, you don't know enough to read it. It's kind of like me picking up a book on theoretical quantum physics. Yeah, I could read the words, but it's not going to mean anything to me. Therefore, I can't channel the magic properly. Same thing. I don't need to go through the example because it's just what I said. A character can attempt to use a scroll to cast a spell of a level they are not normally able to cast, but they must first make an intelligence check to do so. Maybe I can fudge my way through that quantum mechanic book. A penalty to the intelligence check equal to the level of the spell is applied to the scroll. Failure indicates the spell fails and the scroll is destroyed. Scrolls are pretty valuable. I wouldn't try it. I would not try it. All right, so here is my problem. We're going to go back to using scrolls.
Okay.
The first paragraph in using scrolls. Highlight, before using a scroll, a character must decipher it by casting read magic. Now, nowhere in here does it say you have to decipher it as you're casting it or decipher it one time and then you can cast it at any point later on.
As somebody who believes in rulings, not rules, I don't have a problem with that, but I do understand why you say that. I would, personally, I would say
they've been very specific so far, right?
I would rule it as you cast read magic and you now know that one.
The reason being is because, hang on, I got to cast this scroll, but wait 5 minutes. I got to do read magic first, and then I can cast this other spell that'll take 5
But what
more
you
minutes.
do is you put all your scrolls in front of you. You cast read magic once, read. Okay, I know them. We're good. Let's go on.
Put them back in your pocket and you're good to go. Hey, man, as long as read magic lasts that long, fine. Whatever. Cool with that. But yeah, I wish they would have defined that one way or the other, just for less ambiguity's sake. That's all. Yes. And we went that earlier. You read magic and then you can copy it in your spell book and the scroll is not destroyed. But do you have to use read magic on the scroll again to cast it from the scroll? We don't know. Or it's up to the castle keeper to make that decision, which means that's person by person basis. And that's good and bad on several levels. But we'll go on. Divine magical writings. Here's my problem. Okay, here's where we had a problem earlier with the whole idea of divine magic and how it works. Divine spells can be written down and deciphered just as arcane spells can, except read magic is not used to do so. Instead, the character can decipher and learn the new spell from the scroll by spending 1 day plus 1 day per level of the spell being learned to study for it. Only characters who have the spell in question on their class-based spell list can cast divine spell from a scroll. Okay.
I'm rereading the paragraph right now.
Okay, do that. Help me out.
Okay, so it's just scroll creation. I guess the thing that I don't like about how this paragraph's written, going back to my technical manual stuff, is at first, I guess I should realize that it's under the using scrolls, category. And it's not its own new category. Okay,
it's referenced earlier.
I know it's referenced earlier, but it's specifically under using scrolls. Because here's my issue at first was like, what don't you know? You have the entire list of your freaking deity spell list. So why is this even a thing? But this is about creating scrolls. So when you're talking about creating scrolls, this makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense to me.
But the problem with this is earlier where this was referenced, it seems like you can, as long as it's still divine magic, you can use a scroll for a spell not normally given to you by your deity. And that would piss off any deity.
Possibly. It depends on how you want to run it, but yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know why you even want to endanger that. But having clerical magic on a scroll has benefits. Obviously, you don't have to burn a slot. You have the scroll. You have to study it for several days. But then after that, boom, you can use it. It's in your pocket. You got it in your pocket. You're good to go. But if I were you, man, this is for players out there. If I were you, I would ask the castle keeper, hey, I have a scroll that normally is not a spell normally not allowed by my deity. Do I believe through all of my years of prayer that I would piss off my deity if I used a spell not allowed by him or her, depending on what kind of god you got? I would ask that question before you start willy-nilly casting spells from scrolls, all right? All right.
All right, now
Spell
we just
description
get
format. We actually went through a lot of this earlier. Casting time.
We don't have to go through any of this.
Okay,
This is basic
time,
stuff.
And then we have target or area effect. Targeted spells, area effects are burst, cone, cylinder, emanation, and obstacles can stop rays, bursts, and cones by giving people cover. A lot of books have that. A blast will conform to the area that it doesn't destroy. That's the problem with fireball. A fireball down a hallway, its area will conform to the dimensions of the hallway, which means it will expand, right and left or up and down instead of in a bubble, which means you could accidentally put yourself in the middle of your own fireball. Don't do that.
Backdraft.
Backdraft, yeah, very bad. Okay, we'll go down to
saving throws. I think we need to look at.
Okay. Most harmful spells allow an affected creature to make a saving throw in order to avoid some or all of the spell's effect. The spell description details whether the spell allows a saving throw, what type of saving throw is made, and the effect of a successful save. If a spell does not include a saving throw entry, then assume that no saving throw is allowed. Okay, it's fair. A creature that successfully saves against a spell without obvious physical effects feels a hostile force or a tingle, but cannot deduce the exact nature of the attack. Okay, this is important. This is important because a spell like Charm Person or Friends or stuff like that, if someone successfully saves against it, they are obviously not affected. They're not charmed. They're not beguiled, whatever. They're going to feel a tingle. They're going to feel something happen, but they're not going to know in the whole room of people they're in who did it. Yeah, he's not going to know I tried if I'm not doing this. Give it. If I didn't do that, he's not going to know.
No, what you do is you have the fighter do that while the wizard's over there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You have the fighter do this while the wizard's behind the corner going, "Oh, you can't see me." Then that's great.
That's an illusionist.
It's an illusion. There you go. Saving throw challenge level. A spell's challenge level is always equal to its caster's level unless specified otherwise.
That makes sense.
Okay. Negates. These are all the types of ways you can save and what the save does. A save can negate, which means nothing happens. Partial, which means it has some effect, but not full effect. Half damage, half duration, whatever. And none. No saving throw allowed. Object. The spell can be cast on objects, which receive saving throws only if they are magical or if the spell specifies otherwise. Harmless. A parenthetical H indicates a harmless spell. The spell is usually not harmful. Wait. English much? How can a harmless thing usually not be harmful? No, a harmless thing is always not harmful. But a targeted creature can attempt a saving throw if it wishes. All right, we're going to move on from that.
I've got comments because, I do technical writing, but
we're just going to move on because that's obviously stupid. All right. Voluntarily giving up a saving throw. A creature can voluntarily forego a saving throw. This is normal in a lot of games. I'm going to cast a healing spell on you. Okay. And then you don't need to save because you want it to happen. Great. Yep. Now, if you're unconscious, you can't consent. So saving throw probably will still be good. Items surviving after a saving throw. Sometimes a spell specifies whether an item in the area of effect spell is potentially damaged. These items are required to make a saving throw or be destroyed. Again, fireball, right? Fireball goes off. You didn't cast the fireball on that piece of paper, but the fireball is in the area of effect. Now the item, the paper, needs to make a saving throw against fire or the fireball spell or be burned up. Our Heathen Dog's brain just reset. Yeah. No. Both of our brains reset after reading that harmless is sometimes harmful bullshit.
It indicates a harmless spell. This spell is usually not harmful. Aneurysm?
All right. No. I'm going to let your brain reset by you do spell resistance. This should be easy.
Spell resistance is a special defensive ability. A defender's spell resistance is like an armor class against magical attacks. All creatures have a minimum SR of 1. If a spell is being resisted by a defender with spell resistance, the caster of the spell must roll a d20. The result of that d20 roll must be equal to or greater than the spell resistance of the target for the spell to take effect. So if Heathen Dog's got himself a spell resistance of 5 and I roll a 4, well, guess what?
Bing!
Just washed off him. He bathed in it. He was like, oh, give me some more of that, baby. The spell resistance... the spell resistance line and or just... What's that?
That got weird quick.
Yeah, it did. My bad. The spell resistance line and or the descriptive text of a spell description explains whether or not the spell resistance applies, as some spells are not affected by a target creature's spell resistance. You got spell resistance?
No, violence solves everything. Has a point. If in this game healing spells hurt undead, then maybe that makes sense. Maybe. But we'll find out later. We don't know now. All we know is the definition of words don't make sense in that sentence.
Spell resistance applies even if a given spell also allows the target creature a saving throw.
Makes sense. Okay.
So you have to. It does make sense, but for new people out there, so if you're still watching, at this what? I not only have to roll above whatever his number is. What I say your spell, we'll say your spell resistance is a 14 now. You improved a couple levels. Yeah. Awesome. I not only have to roll above that 14, but he still gets a saving throw on top of it. So
no, it's not above. It's equal to or above.
No. What I'm saying is like if I
have a spell resistance, 14,
I have to do two things. I have to beat your spell resistance and you get a saving throw is my point.
Yes, that's true.
I'm not trying to math this. If the effects of the spell resistance, if any, the effects of the spell resistance, if any, are applied first, right? Because it's no point in him rolling a saving throw if the spell didn't affect him, right?
Right.
And then the creature may also make a saving throw. In most cases, spell resistance applies only when a resistant creature is targeted by the spell, not when a resistant creature encounters a spell that's already in place, such as Wall of Iron. Right. I also look case by case. I don't know about this game, but in other games, I look case by case versus if it's an area of effect spell versus.
I found a new problem.
Okay.
I found a new problem. All right. That last sentence, in most cases.
In most cases.
Yeah. In
spell
most
resistance
cases,
applies only when a resistant creature is targeted by the spell.
Not when a resistant creature encounters a spell. Now, here's my question that hasn't been answered yet. Maybe it will in the next paragraph. But if I am targeted by a fireball, and it doesn't get past my spell resistance, does the fireball happen and just not affect me, or does it fail completely?
I wouldn't say the spell fails. I'd just say that you aren't affected by it.
I don't know, man. I think it would fail completely.
It's a fireball.
I know.
Let's say there's target. If there's you don't usually target a person.
My spell resistance, then it failed.
Okay, you know what? Let's put it that way. Let's use like the light spell. I don't know how this game does it, but we're talking like the D&D version of light spell, where I can either cast it on something or I can just throw it like 60 feet out there, right? If you throw it 60 feet out there, I don't care about your resistance. You're shiny.
Fair enough.
But if I try to throw it on your eyeballs, absolutely, your spell resistance would count.
And
so same thing with fireball.
My eyes would not be lit up at all, even though I could still see.
No, that's not the way the light spell works. Light spell would blind you. You would not be blind.
You're misunderstanding. I have spell resistance, and you cast light spell on my eyeballs. If it got through my spell resistance and my save, it would go off, and I would be
blinded. You'd be blinded. Yeah.
But everyone else would also see the light, right? Coming from my eyes.
No,
why not? Because the light spell radiates.
Well, I understand it, but I don't think that's in the description of the light spell. The description of light spell just says it blinds the person if you put it on somebody. But.
Well, yeah, but the light spell radiates.
So when I run it, I can tell you that when I do the light spell, you either cast it on an object for light or out 60 feet out there if you don't want it to follow you. If you cast it on something, no, you're not turning into Cyclops with eye beams coming out. Not walking around with headlights.
But that's
my ruling.
There's my problem then, though, right? I mean, if you cast the fireball on me and it doesn't get past my spell resistance, I don't think, according to this, it goes off at all.
Well, so let's use your fireball example for a second. Normally, you don't throw a fireball and have it stick on somebody. There's my background on sulfur, or whatever it happens to be in this game, and I threw it on you. Ew, gross, poof. Usually you just throw it out there, hit the area of effect, right? I would say that if for whatever reason you're throwing that fireball on Heathen Dog, I wanted to hit Heathen Dog in the face. I am so mad at Heathen Dog. I want the fireball just to be right here, and they go whoosh.
And that's I would say people have been that mad at me. Yep.
I would say then yes, the resistance would stop the spell completely. If for whatever reason that I put it, next to you, 2 feet away from you, like right here, I want it like a nuclear explosion where we actually blow above the ground a little bit. So I want the fireball right here.
Yeah. So then my spell resistance wouldn't matter at all.
No,
because there'd just be like this casted upon just my saving throw.
Fair enough. I think that's too rules lawyery for me.
I think that's what it says.
Okay, it's too rules lawyery for me. I have to dig into it more, but personally, I'd probably give you both. I don't care. Like, I just don't care. But to be fair, whatever I do for you, I would do for the NPCs also.
Right.
So I get what you're saying. So unless it targets you, the resistance does not apply. That's what Darthiak puts on there. I'd rule that the spell failed. It never reached the actual point of detonation. That's okay. The spell resistance only apply with spells that specifically target a person with SR. See, again, that gets for my taste. This is one of the reasons why I've been moving towards rules light games recently. Is I don't like to have these discussions.
Yeah, I agree that spell resistance only applies if the person with the spell resistance is being specifically targeted. The reason being is because if the spell goes off on somebody else, it has now been already made manifest. It's actual fire now, and you are now being engulfed in it. Only your saving throw is going to help you.
See, I would still give the resistance. I understand. And I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I would still give the resistance bonus because you have it for a reason and it is still magical. But I do get what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Now this
components, I don't care. This is typical crap that you have.
No. It's the next paragraph, the last paragraph.
Yep, we have to do this.
The terms object and harmless mean the same thing for saving throws. A creature with spell resistance must voluntarily drop the resistance in order to receive the effect of a spell noted as harmless without the check described above. If a spell does not include the spell resistance entry, then assume no spell resistance check is allowed. Okay, so each spell will tell you if spell resistance is allowed or not. Okay. I don't see how. You know what? I don't know because I haven't read it on the other way, so I don't know.
We'll see some spells down here in a minute.
Yeah.
All right. This stuff we've kind of talked about what some of this is.
We don't care. Hey, so sometimes you need bat guano, sometimes you need a holy symbol. Depends on the spell. The spell will tell you.
This reminds me of a video game, and I can't think of which one. It's not an MMO. It's like a single player video game, like all orcs must die or something.
I got nothing.
Okay. All right. Let's look at a couple of spells. We've been beating this dead horse for a while here. So let's just look at a spell list for a moment here. All right. Cleric, level 0 cleric spells. You can create some water. You can detect alignment. Get rid of this spell. I hate this spell. And it's not for castles and crusades. I hate this spell in all of its manifestations. General, yeah. Detect magic, detect poison. And that's good. I'm glad these are cantrips. Makes sense for those to be, or 0 level spells, orisons, whatever the fuck they're called this week. First aid, light. Wait a minute. Bandages cures 1d2 damage.
A 0 level spell. Okay. All right. This is.
I know it's only a d2, but
I know. This is just me, and this is just Max. We don't believe that 0 level spells should have tangible, combat or environmental effects.
Right.
Yeah. We just don't believe that. But
I'm actually okay with the create water portion of it.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, 2 gallons. You're not going to save a village, but you're not going to die of thirst. All right, fine.
I don't like the endure elements. I don't like the first aid. I don't care about light.
No, those have far-reaching tangible effects.
Yeah.
But you can make that argument for water too. But again, like we said, we wouldn't have that be a 0 level spell. So. But if you go to if you when you're done over there, skip over the list and go to PDF page 130.
You don't want to look at certain spells?
Not really. We're just going to look at an example of how the spell is explained. So if you scroll down a little bit, there you go. Then we got what? Angelic Image, a level 2 idiot spell.
Where the hell? Is it 130?
PDF 130. PDF page 130. Not actual page 130. There. Nope.
This is 132, but I don't see angelic anything.
Okay, it's actually 128.
Oh. There we go. Angelic Image.
Angelic Image. All right. Now it says CT of 1. And as we remember, that's the what? The
Casting time?
yes, cast time. Thank you. Range of 50 feet. Duration 1 round per level. That means you have to concentrate to keep it going. Saving throw, charisma negates. It's a charisma saving throw.
Interesting. Okay.
And if you succeed, it will negate. Spell resistance, yes. That means spell resistance does factor into this.
Mm-hmm.
And if we scroll down to the next page down, animate dead, right there on the right side, SR none.
I don't keep my
Saving
spell
throw.
resistance when I'm a corpse?
Yes, exactly. Corpses
God.
don't have saving throws. Corpses don't have spell resistance. Okay, now I understand why sometimes spell resistance is there, sometimes it's not, because some spells affect inanimate objects, and inanimate objects, unless they're magical, do not, well, maybe not, maybe if they're magical, they don't have spell resistance. Okay.
So Animal Messenger, you have a save of none, but a spell resistance of yes.
Yeah. Animals are too dumb to save, but some animals do have spell resistance.
Does Fireball have spell resistance? Well, let's find out. That would be in...
This is all alphabetical.
Oh,
so
okay, good.
C, D.
Okay, here. Oh, I passed it.
F.
Yep,
Fire Seeds, Fireball. It's on book page 149.
Fire trap. 149.
Page 149.
Stayed.
Oh, a little higher. You're on the right page.
There we go.
Okay. Casting time of 1, which is okay. Range 450 feet. Dexterity save for half damage. Spell resistance, yes. So hang on. Let's read it. Just see what spell resistance does. It affects a 40-foot diameter sphere. The fireball follows a straight path, and if it impacts a solid barrier prior to attaining the prescribed range, the impact causes early detonation. If the caster attempts to send the ball through a narrow passage, such as an arrow slit, the character must hit with a ranged attack roll, or else the bead strikes the barrier.
I love
and
it.
Detonates prematurely.
That's perfect. That's the way it should be done.
That is mean.
I hope you got good ranged attack.
But the spell does not answer my question. It just says saving spell resistance, yes. It doesn't say, is it just the target?
And this is where I would just personally say that, yes, it has to beat your spell resistance, and then you get a save. I would do that.
According to this, look at the first line. With a gesture, the caster sends a small ball of fire hurtling through the air to detonate with a low roar at the height and distance the caster desires, as long as it is within the spell's maximum range. That tells me that it's not meant to be cast on people. It's meant to be an air burst. And it says SR yes. So that answers my question I had earlier. Spell resistance apparently does come into question even if you're not the target. Even if you're in the AoE of a spell, you still get spell resistance.
Yeah, somebody wrote Indigo Dragon. Yes, I would treat it did say the spell resistance works the same as AC, and to me, when you put it in that construct, that's how AC would work as well.
Spell resistance all the time. Yeah. Okay. The question answered. I had a problem. They weren't clear. Reading the description of Fireball, I am now clear.
Just want to say for the record, I was running it right from the beginning.
You had it. You had the right interpretation from the beginning. Yes.
All right. So anyway, that was some spells. We don't have to go through the rest of this. I think we've covered this pretty well. I wanted to focus on, and to be fair, for people who are like, well, can you talk about some spells? We did that with the 7th printing stuff. You can go look at our 7th printing, or you can just buy the book. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
I would like somebody, because it's not going to be me, to actually watch our Magic episode in 7th printing and our magic episode here on 8th printing and tell us like if we have different reactions. Because I feel like my reaction was very similar in 7th printing. Like I was okay with it at first, and I was like, well, maybe. And I kind of feel that way this one, where I'm like, I don't have a problem with the illusionist. Well, maybe there are problems. I don't know. But
I believe I have that same reaction now and then.
Oh yeah. You hated it then, and you hate it now.
It was not significantly changed. The whole idea of an illusionist was thrown out the window for this game, and they just used the word illusionist for something that's radically different. Well, yes, that would be perfect. You have the guy who has an SR of 20 jump in front of that little tiny fireball headed toward you, hits him, fizzles.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that. But even if it were to detonate in front of the person with the high SR,
detonate in the air, it's fine. And just that person, hide behind that guy, definitely. Right. Yeah, hide behind that dude, definitely.
But even if it doesn't affect him, he's got that little ball of he just where the fire just misses him. It's still going to hit the person behind him.
Well, no. I mean,
he doesn't stop the entire spell.
But no,
wrong button.
I disagree. Now the
entire 40-foot area is not affected by one person having an SR.
This is just for Fireball. Hear me out. In the description of Fireball, it said it will conform to the area.
Mm-hmm.
And if it hits a barrier beforehand, it will prematurely detonate. Right?
Yeah, but you can't dive in the way of a fireball.
Yes or no?
Fine, sure.
Okay, so
if you throw it against the wall, it's going to blow up.
I'm not done yet. So if a person with an SR of 20 jumps in front of that fireball,
can't happen, but go on.
Or somehow gets in front of the fireball, and it prematurely detonates on him, it will detonate outward this way, outward that way, but not behind him in any way.
Yeah, well,
it can't go through him. The fire literally cannot go through him.
No, it doesn't have to go through him. It goes around him. Watch how fire burns, dude. It goes around. It doesn't just go. I can't go past this.
An explosion of fire. An explosion of fire.
Exactly.
So here's your dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's your dude. The fireball comes from here. It hits him. This area, all the way back here, is free of flame.
Absolutely not true.
Absolutely true.
Look at science.
You are just dumb.
No, look at science.
I explained it like I would to a child.
Absolutely.
Any child would win. I get it, but you don't.
That's absolutely how they work in explosions. That's why you're taught. Okay, I guess you were never combat trained.
Can't go through the fireproof object. I'm sorry.
You're right. It can't go through it, but fire wraps around. It doesn't go in a straight line.
That's not how explosions work. Sorry. Sorry, brother. Physics and you're having a disconnect.
Yeah, fire follows the O2. You're right. No. I can tell you people who are standing behind lots of stuff that still got exploded with shrapnel. Now, if you're right next to it, a little different story, but. No, I wouldn't give him SR anyway. I'd give that one character, and that is it. Everybody else within the 40 feet is still exploded. I'm not going to let one person protect everybody. Darthic, in this situation, I'd rule that it fizzled. If it hits the person, I just don't see a person being able to jump in front of it.
No, fine enough. But if it hits a person by accident and the SR saves him, I don't think the spell would even go off. I think that Darthic is right. I don't think it would even go off.
And this gets too technical for me, but yes, this is kind of what I'm talking about. You can. Just because I stand behind Heathen Dog doesn't mean that I'm not going to get hit by a grenade. Otherwise, they'd tell you to stand behind each other.
Let's wrap it up.
Let me bring this over here. I'm just going to slide it back again. What the hell? All right. So with that concludes our magic section of go ahead and put in your comments about what you think about the illusionist, because we love hearing your thoughts. Oh, thank you. I was just looking for that. What your thoughts are about the illusionist class. If you want to check out our 7th printing discussion on this as well and see if we have any changes, that would be awesome. Oh, what's that? as a mage, be safe and go for the air burst over the guys' heads. That's right.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yes, 100% right. Yeah, that's what you do. There's no argument there.
Okay, but yeah, go ahead. What am I missing? Oh, I know what I'm missing. Got to put the other stuff up as well. Oop. Go ahead and find us on Discord, Locals, Redbubble. Buy our stuff, and like Heathen Dog's tapestry that's behind him. And you can find us on our website, Odyssey, YouTube, Twitch. And if you want to donate to us, there you go. Those are the links. That's awesome. Yeah, that's the best place to donate. That's even better than Super Chats. And of course, we have our 3,000 subscriber giveaway. Yay.